So this is what I'm encouraging the people. This is one last attempt as a father, because everybody is tearing apart and forgetting where we started. And I think that we have to have that together, that come together sooner than later. My proposal, as I will address the cabinet and the APP tomorrow, will be based on this, so that we get this done. That I will not relent an inch to do the things I must do to make sure this government functions effectively, to make sure we are not distracted, to make sure that we are not paralyzing our own selves. That's the big announcement. I'm not resigning. If Ambazonians don't want me, I will go. But I am not resigning. Yes, because I know that I've understood that you want me to be here. But if at any point that is clear that Ambazonia, you don't want me, I will not resist you for a second, because I did not get here by manipulating you. I cannot stay here by manipulating you, or by fighting back. No, far from it.
Mr. President, you seem to have strategically interrupted my day. And I don't know where to start with the questions, but just to ask a question in relation to what you just mentioned, that's another strong statement tonight. You have said that the Restoration Council cannot solve this problem. Before I ask you what you have diagnosed the problem to be, because we have different versions, it has evolved until today, there is something else. Before I ask you, why do you think that your Restoration Council cannot solve this problem? Mr. President, we are listening.
I have discovered that my diagnosis, or what I perceived from the beginning, is it started with a little spark. Take this person out of office or count me out. Then it became something else. Then it became something else. What I see today is a litigation of the struggle. So that's why I say that the one branch of government cannot solve that problem. When you litigate the struggle, or you suing the struggle anywhere, it is the struggle that can solve the problem, that can respond. It is not a single branch. That's why I'm saying that. There is no one single decision that the Restoration Council will take that will address all the issues of every aspect of our struggle. That's why I call it a litigation of the struggle. So that's what I've identified, unless I'm mistaken. That's why I'm thinking that the sooner we are able to come together, so that everybody would say his own little thing here. Communication will say their own, the defense will say their own, finance will say their own, the structures, those who speak to the structures, and they will say their own. Those who talk about the constitutionality, or the constitution, and what we have, will say their own. So all these things put together, there's no one single stroke of the pen that the Restoration Council can just sign and say, "Whoa, we just solved all the problems, or all the concerns." Why do I call it problem? All the concerns that have been raised. So that's why I'm saying that the people will do it at the end. Probably I will be right. A constituent assembly of all the people duly selected, vetted,
Duly,
and
duly represented.
duly represented. Yes, selected, not people who are not paying their draft, not people who are just there. So we are going to make sure that we select people who have a stake. When we say stakeholder, you should have a stake, not just a mouth, a stake in this struggle. We are going to do that sooner than later. But let the government continue to function. We're going to put that in place. Yes. I'm saying that I I don't know which head of state has not been insulted. Just name one. So that's why I'm not a stranger to insult. Even the Pope probably has been more insulted than me because who am I? So it's a normal thing. I'm not coming here to respond to those insults. I'm coming here to prescribe a way forward for everyone, for everyone, both to address the concerns of the people who said these things, allegations are so terrible, so devastating, so unbearable. I said there is an answer to that. Don't have hypertension. We'll get to that. Unless those alleging are not interested in facts. You know, some people do allege when they are not interested in fact because just alleging is enough because they wanted to destroy something by alleging. But those
Now,
who are alleging because
what,
they are,
Mr. President, let me just interrupt you a little bit. Permit me to do that. What do you think? Because you're making some insinuations. You're making an insinuation that perhaps these individuals who make complaints might not be really interested in having it prosecuted legally. So, if that be true, if that observation may be true, what do you think could be their objective?
I don't know. I don't know the heart of man, but I can think for myself. If at this point where we are in this revolution, the price we have paid in blood and the dangers we face as a people if this revolution fails.
Yeah.
If anybody who calls himself or herself a stakeholder in this revolution will afford to make such allegations and is not interested in the facts, is not interested in the truth, that person is worse than those who have killed our 35,000 people. Ambazonians in all LGAs and counties should treat them worse than the people who have killed our 35,000 people because these people they just use the kitchen sink to destroy the revolution, to destroy the interim government. And let me tell you the consequences of that. More than the 35,000 shall be slaughtered if we don't succeed in this endeavor.
In this endeavor.
We will all be for the slaughter because these people must be destroyed to the least so that we will never be remembered again on that part in that part of the world, so that there will be no Ambazonia again in the history of mankind. Anyone who, after seeing where we are, what we have done, and brings all these type of allegations and arrows and innuendos and everything to destroy, if the purpose is just to destroy and not to know the truth and help the revolution, then that person is dangerous. It's the most dangerous thing we've come across during this revolution because they don't care about those who have died. They want more to die. So I'm challenging us that please ask the person, beg them. If they are listening to me now, I beg you, in the name of God and the people who have who have sacrificed their lives already believing in Amazonia, that please let it not end just by the joy of sharing and sharing your stories and your allegations. If you know
And
that you
getting
have
followers
facts
to
here,
follow your
I hear,
page.
I hear some people that say I have the facts, I am the one boasting, I have this. Please, 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 can you just go one step further? Put that in writing correctly and make that complaint. Let me give you every help you need from me legally so that Ambazonians should know the truth. If it is that I am innocent, they will vindicate you. They will know that you tried to do the right thing. You were not there for destruction, you were there for good. But do it. If you don't do it, it means why did you allege without a modicum of certainty that this is not just some trash. This is actually something in law. Before the court or the investigator or the legal the judiciary can even arrest you or commence an investigation, there must be a probable cause. They must be able to establish that from the preliminary evidence they have, there is a probable cause. From the complaint there's a probable cause that a crime has really been committed. Then they will go into all details to investigate. If you cannot provide that little one, just your signature, And whatever evidence you say you already have, if you cannot provide that, then you are a hitman against the revolution, or you are a hit lady against the revolution. Ambazonia must remember that, and they will never forget it.
Mr. President, you're saying that in spite of what it may cost you as a citizen or a resident in the United States of America, considering the stiffness of the laws that
Yes,
are governing this land,
yes.
you are ready this time for us to get to the roots of the matter.
I am 1,000% ready. And every step of my compliance, every step I will take, I will give Ambazonians a copy of everything I'm doing.
Okay, let's make progress. You mentioned constitution. So I want us to talk about constitution, governance, and policy. It has been a call for concern. Um, I think most probably provoked by a statement that was made during your inauguration 2 years ago. We had the chairman of the Restoration Council, after reading the message of the inauguration, making a statement that you have 2 years in office. Yesterday, Sango Luis Etongwe came on this television to tell Ambazonians that those words could be legally binding. And therefore, by default, if you are not willing to respect them, you could be defiling the laws of the land. Do you want to? I have a lot that the people have said in this regard, but then I want you to say something before I bring in the questions.
I respect the gentleman, a gentleman indeed of the Restoration Council. So I just want to be very careful with my words. What kind of Ambazonia do we want to establish? Is it an Ambazonia where the resolutions of the Restoration Council and the executive orders of the executive branch supersede the Constitution? No, it's a choice. We have to make that choice. It's simple. It's looking at us in the face. Do we want a country where the executive actions of those in power or the resolutions of those in the lawmaking body supersede the Constitution? That means where there is a conflict, we will dump the Constitution and adopt what the people did or said. And let me say this. Do we want to build a country where the proclamation of anyone in power makes the Constitution unnecessary?
Of non-effect.
Of non-effect? Or do we want to build a country where the actions and the laws and the edicts and the directives and the procedures and the prescriptions of those who are in power should be measured by the dictates of the Constitution? So it's our choice. It's our choice, sir. You have your own. Okay, some people said that, I know probably it's one of your questions. When he made a proclamation, an unconstitutional proclamation, a proclamation that is contrary to the Constitution, and you knew it, and you were there in that ceremony, why did you?
Yeah, you should have paused.
Why did you not just say, "I have something to say, please," and then get into a legal constitutional fight in that place so that they will know that you did not accept it?
If
So
you watched my program yesterday, Mr. President, that was brought up and we
Okay.
handled it. But you can go ahead because you brought it
Yeah.
up.
So let me just we are learning,
You're
right? It's a
supposed
learning
to put
process.
on your groups there and tell the chairman to sit down, start a fight.
And
I
then we
said,
start
you can't
fighting.
say what is not in the constitution on your
Yes,
inauguration day. You're
yes.
supposed to do that.
That
That
I
is
was
what
thinking.
Luis Etomle suggested you should have done.
Okay, here is the question.
Yeah.
If you hit my car on the road, if I am right, I must fight you. If I will only wait for the police to come, it means I am wrong. Is that correct? If you hit my car on the road and I'm quiet, I wait until 2 hours before the police come. And the police, what the judgment, the spectators are saying that because you did not fight this man back, immediately hit your car, you waited until the law should be applied, then you are the culprit. What a logic. Listen, those who have the law on their side, they don't fight with their fists. They don't engage in every fist fight. Because why? The law will fight for them. If I know that you are wrong in what you are saying and the law is on my side, why should I fight you? Why should I get into a fist fight with you? Why should I confront you and we transform that occasion into a fight? And that is what will be reported by all the media houses that were witnessing the occasion. No, I know what the law says. I would rather wait the law to be applied than for me to get. When you see two people fighting, what do you think? Don't you think that two of them are mad? In an occasion, if we
Yeah,
transform
like you
such an
said,
occasion,
it takes
they
two
are.
mad people to
You
fight.
will see these two mad people. Why are these people? Is this the people will be saying? Is that the kind of Ambazonia we want? And he will say no. I have said it. This one will say no, and then that's the inauguration day. No, I don't get into that. You can do your illegality and go because if the law is on my side, the law will settle that. And number two, let me help Ambazonians, please. Governance is all about law. The legislators make the law. The executive apply the law, and the judiciary interprets the law. So governance is all about the law. The executive makes the law. I mean, the legislature makes the law. The executive implements the law. And if there is a problem of understanding and interpretation, it is the judiciary that interprets the law, not the legislature, not even the executive. It is the legislature. I mean, the judiciary that interprets the law. So if there is a constitutional issue or constitutional interpretation that is considered right
Misinterpretation.
or right, if there's a problem of interpretation of law, where do you take it to? To the Restoration Council, to the legislature? Means you don't even know the basics of governance. You don't make the law interpret it. You make the law and let those who are in the judiciary interpret it. That's what it is. So in
You
this
see, Mr.
matter, if there
President,
is, yes, if
the
there's a
way the
matter
way
of
you
concern, let me remind you this. If there's a matter of
yes.
concern with this constitution, on the 25th of November, the judiciary, which for now sits with the ethics committee, wrote a majority opinion on the issue of interpretation of the constitution. That is their constitutional role. And they made it clear what is meant in that constitution and the way forward with that constitution. For the lawmakers to say they are now the interpreters, they reject the interpretation from the judiciary and they arrogate to themselves the right to interpret it as they want. What kind of Amazonia are we trying to build? If this is the foundation, then I'm sorry. It will be worse than La Republique.
Mr. President, the way you have tackled this debate, um, I have managed to have this discussion. I never ever thought you could take it from this angle. You have simplified it in such a way that even that mama in Moya do you come from Munya or Tiko? That
I come
mama
from.
from your village
Mhm.
can just understand it. And it reminds me of the days of Dr. Common Sense. And anytime I think of Dr. Common Sense, I'm talking about you, the day you were an activist. I think of a friend who brought you to my notice. It is this same friend. I'm going to share his video. These are Ambazonian. These are people. I'm sharing his video at the end of this show, so that some can know him. These are Ambazonians that some people will have to know. In 2006, this friend in Yaoundé was the first person that told me about the word Ambazonia. I never believed in this Ambazonia. I never believed in the concept of Ambazonia. As a student at the time, or just finishing, I was among those who believed in. It's getting me to my next question, Mr. President. Who believed in the only or the one of the two bilingual nations in the world. I was one of those who were proud of trying to speak some French. And I advocated that Cameroon should stay together. Even when this individual really thought that, I thought it was a fast. He mentioned Fon Gojidinga at the time and brought the word Ambazonia. For my first time, I heard the word Ambazonia in 2006. Now, 2016 has come and there has been evolution, and this is where we are today. I want to ask you, Mr. President, when you look at this nation today and you look at what is the binding document, I would say the decalogue for the nation, are you proud in spite of the insult and everything? Or do you just want to give up and think that, or are you telling Ambazonians today that whatever we have done thus far is a mistake? Because it would appear we're about tearing ourselves for things that are less than the reasons that brought us together and why we started this fight. Are you proud of Amazonia?
I am very proud of Ambazonia. This will be the greatest, and it is the greatest nation on earth because that is where God chose that I come from. That is the beginning of my love for country. Let me talk about the constitution that we have. The constitution that we have is called an interim constitution. In other words, the liberation framework, the the document that governs the structure that manages the revolution. So the guideline that we need to function at this time as a people prosecuting the struggle. So we call ourselves the Federal Republic of Amazonia. We are not fully we are not fully a full-fledged functional federation. That is the constitution that we will have when we get to Boya, a federal, functional federal constitution. For now, we have the interim constitution. These are the baby steps of creating any nation. You have to establish a foundation document. Even if you go to the American history, they established a declaration. That was the foundation document. Then they started building from there. They were not destroying it as they go. They were not discarding it as they go. They were amending it when necessary, following the normal procedure that's acceptable to all. There were no games. There were no machinations. So I am proud for every step we have taken in building a nation of laws by establishing a foundation document. What if we did not even have one? But we have one now because that's the kind of country we want to build. I am saying that Amazonians we have a role to play. Otherwise, we create a culture whereby we make laws just for proclamation, but we don't really intend that they should be followed. We use them when it is convenient. We discard them when it is not convenient. Our interpretation is biased. It is self-serving, and we don't really intend that document to be a standard or a reference. When we get to that kind of situation, I am ashamed that I'm saying that if the one-eye people among the blind decide not to go for the journey, what a disaster that will be. I'm saying that not all of us are enlightened to the standard, but those who know should not give up. Let us enlighten ourselves. Let us use every situation of every confusion as a learning moment to teach ourselves. And let us also be willing to learn. If you agree with my facts, that doesn't make you a fool. That makes you a wise person, especially if you know and know that by the what I present to you is I'm correct. It is just an intellectual tradition for you to say you are right. You make the point. But when we get to a point where we deny the facts and the truth just because we cannot be seen to be wrong, then we have a problem. That's not the kind of Ambazonia we want to build. We want to build an Ambazonia where we can all sit and wait and hear what the law will say and make sure we all respect it because it works for all of us.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will not want to take too much of your time. And also, I do not want to exceed 2 hours of this meeting. So I would like the people to get ready to start sending in their questions. But before I go into that, let me read something that's coming from Ground Zero. The name of this individual is, I'm not sure if you want me to do it, but his name is Nick from Ground Zero. He says, "Good day, Mr. Pade. I perceive there is a great conspiracy against the president. He should never think of resigning as an option. God will see him through." That is from Nick. One of his names starts with a P. And another information coming from Ground Zero. It is a great show we're watching. We hope that our president will always come live and talk to us like this. Now we have some hope. This I don't have some of these names, but this individual, his name can show on his WhatsApp. So his last name is Nick. Nick, if you're watching on Facebook, you can just give it some thumbs up. And many are reacting. I'm not sure that we will have all the time to exhaust all the questions from my end today. I still have a lot of questions, which I want to suspend for now because I want the people to ask you questions before you go away. I hope to bring you again anytime very soon. But before we get into the question segment, let us play this. Let us get into the brief break, and right after the break, we will take questions from the public.
Bienvenue Forbi, I'm Carl Ayongakpa, a medium and a community organizer. My hometown, I was born by the River Manu, like 2 kilometers from the river, and I have not been there for a while because of what's happening there. People are now refugees in Nigeria, so official numbers from the United Nations High Commission for Refugees is about 15,000. This is part of what officially they call Mkala Yongakpa Intermedia Studios.
Black people in music and literature have established. But the problem here now is we're learning who owns the intellectual property of black imagination.
For the performance, I added voices from famous political prisoners like Mumia Abu Jamal and Asata Sako and and some others. So it was this whole idea of doing a piece for healing and remembrance. Patrick Ndango, he made this video from a high security bunker, and we all just saw this following the crackdown of protesters in the English-speaking part of Cameroon. So when this video came out from this bunker without any access to light, the first thing that came to my mind was the sound. How the degree of torture they could go through, not just from that isolation, but from a sonic perspective. Water drops become torture at some point, because the healing aspects of water is very important for me, but at some point I wanted it to get to a point where it becomes torture, and also where, since my work has to do a lot with transformation and repetition, I wanted this water drops to be amplified through the acoustics, so it becomes like Montreal's heartbeat. I could see my work as a negotiation between life sciences, juju art, and technology.
You ever wonder?
Don't you hate it when that happens to you?
And actresses do
When it does, you need this and this and this. When it happens to me, I always know where to go. When you've got professionals on your side, your problems don't stand a chance. What are you waiting for? Contact them today and let them take care of your problems.
You're welcome back. You just watched the video of Carl. This was the individual I was talking to you about a couple of minutes ago. Carl Eyongapa from Manu. I would say he is a mentor to me when it comes to, some of you, I marvel when I do graphics or the arts and design. That's my mentor. He's the person, there are two of them. You have Take and him. They're the first persons who told me about the word Ambazonia in 2006. When there were lots of noise, 2016, and you have a lot of activists talking here or there, Bobala and this and the Tapang Ivories. One day in my home, he called me because I have a name they call me Nkwame. And so he called me and said, some Monday I want me watch, I don't see him. They call it Dr. Common Sense. That these were his words, that this man says something that nobody says. Some of you can testify of this. And this person, by some divine means, happens to be our president. Mr. President, that was the person that showed you to me. I would like us to start taking the questions now, but before, that is a son of Ambazonia. I know you don't know him. He is like a mentor to me artistically, and he is the one that made me to know you for the first time. I'm sure this is the first caller we're getting. Hello, caller?
Yes.
From Ground Zero. Yeah, good evening.
From Ground Zero.
Where are you calling from precisely? Which county?
I'm calling from Abakwa.
Okay. Go ahead, the president is listening.
Yeah, I want to appreciate you and the president tonight, and to say, after listening keenly to the president, those who are making allegations against, do not legally pursue them now, to bring out facts. I want to let them know that we, the Ambazonians on the ground, we will consider them as bought over, that they are black legs, they have been bought over by La Republic to destroy our IG and our struggle. So that's just what the comment I want to make. Let them go forward and bring out facts to prove that the allegations are true. If not, they have been bought over to destroy our revolution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will pause the questions 5 minutes to time so that the president can talk a little bit about. Mr. President, do you want to react?
No, I just want to thank the honorable gentleman. Please just add your voice. If you know some of the people who have made these allegations and who are exchanging this, sharing this on various media fora and claiming that they have this and they have that evidence, please just remind them that there's need for us to pursue this to the end, because Ambazonians need the true facts more than them. You don't keep them to yourself. Just put them together and write it, send it to the Ethics and the Restoration Council. Let me be able to provide everything that will be needed for the truth to be established for the people. The sooner the better. Please continue to make that as the mantra. Speak to them, beg them, plead with them to do so, please, so that Ambazonians will not be held hostage by our own very ropes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Yes, caller. Where are you calling from, please?
Yes, I'm calling from Washington State. I really appreciate the program and for bringing the president on. It's the program is so educative. I have two questions for the president. My first question is, Mr. President, you said you are not moved by insult. How do you feel when it's your own trusted cabinet members insulting you? My second question goes, Mr. President, you equally said you cannot resign until the people of Ambazonia say so. How will you know if they still want you if you don't organize election to progress? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, over to you.
Yes, comrade, it is very painful when your own very close people allege things about you. Just like your wife in the house. Also, it's very painful when a person alleges things about you, not discuss them with you, but alleges these things about you outside or to anybody. It's very painful. But it's part of the life of a man, of leadership, beginning from the home into any organization. It's painful. You ask me how do I feel? I feel it. But I try to react in the right manner. That is what I'm trying to do right now. Listen, the interim government is not just it's not everybody who is just listening now. No, it's also a structure, right? It's a structure. We are made up of 61 local governments and counties. If this interim government does not want me again, I will know. We are within the interim government, and we have structures. We have structures. We have procedures in place. Let all the counties come together who came together in a constituent assembly to elect me. They can act otherwise and say we don't want you. We have an institution that can function to produce that result. It doesn't mean that there must be election. If there must be election, it must be unconstitutional. Can we not still organize constitutional elections? Why must we use illegality to correct legality? Or use illegality to correct illegality? If you say something is wrong, but I need to use something wrong to correct what is wrong. Why? That's my problem. Who says no to election? If our constitution says there is election, so let it be. If our constitution says there is no election and we think that we need election in the midst of this war, let the people make that decision through the normal process and cause that amendment to be made in the constitution so that we will be seen to be walking by laws, not by emotions or our personal desires. There should be a guide, there should be a reference. The reference we have is the law. The only law we have for now is the Constitution, which is the express will of the people. If we think that our desire has shifted, now we want something else, let us subject that document to the same process that it authored it, so that we can make that amendment. Then we work within the law, because we cannot build a nation outside laws. The whole idea of governance is law. You make the law, they implement the law, they interpret the law. That's governance. So to say that the only way you want to know that they want you is when you organize elections, even if they were anti-constitutional, that is wrong. The structures that we have function. If this whole LGAs and counties hold meetings and said our revolution is in trouble, this man we don't want him again, they have ways to express that, and that will happen. It doesn't have to be elections. And if we have to have elections, let them be regular, let them be constitutional. Trust me, if I fail to make that decision to run, I will make it. But I will not run for any, even if I'm short of 100% win, for any election that is against the foundation law that we have made and agreed, that we have implemented and are implementing at this time. I will not participate in it. I will allow illegality to fly without my fingerprints, because history is being written. Precedence is being created. I will not be part of an evil precedent.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If the studio can reduce my volume a little bit, because I want to ask you a question, they increase it for the cause. Now, the question I want to ask you, Mr. President, in relation to that caller, thank you for being patient. You actually disrupted what I planned to ask you by making some declarations, but then this has been brought up. Now, the Constitution that we have does not make a provision for any presidential elections. And we are aware of that. It is true that some of us have not just interpreted it well or took a statement for a binding law. But then, looking at the concept behind this construct of governance at this time of a war, what do you think is the rationale behind such a decision? I would say the founding fathers of that constitution, what do you think was their thought? Is there any sense? Was it made for any? Because I know you didn't make the constitution, you met the constitution already in existence. But is there any sense why the clause of presidential election should be eliminated at this time of war? Ambazonians may want to be educated on that.
I believe that, the founders of that constitution, or the writers of that constitution, the reasons they had are the same today. They have not changed. I will try to afford some of them. I will tell you what is right, whether I am the one sitting here or is somebody else. When I defended this IG, I was nowhere found anywhere around the IG. When I helped to provide foundation ideas for this, I was nowhere found around the IG. So I can tell you this, whether I'm here or not, these facts remain. Matter of fact, they should be recorded. They will still be the same everywhere. Because this is war. This is a revolutionary document, a revolutionary law that should guide the prosecution of this revolution. It was clear that the day we proclaimed our restoration, it was tantamount to a declaration of war to the other side. That's what happens when you declare the restoration or the separation or whatever from another country to the others, to the occupier, is tantamount to a declaration of war. Even in the freest of all countries in the world, the United States of America, in times of war, all political processes and institutions are suspended. The parliament is suspended, elections are suspended, everything is suspended. Martial law is in place, and the president continues to govern. I mean, in the free world, the ones more than a democracy that's more than 200 years old, that applies. We are governing a war. We are prosecuting a war. We are liberating ourselves. In that situation, you don't go into electoral politics. The revolutionary body chooses a leader, and the leader continues to lead until there is a reason why the person should not lead, especially until he replaces that he gets into treasonable acts that jeopardize the whole struggle, the whole struggle. Then you say, no, you can change that leader. That was the thought of the founders. That is why they designed a constitution whereby the leader is not subject to change by electoral process. But the absence
But
of the
by impeachment, impeachment is possible.
Of course, we are bordering in the region of treason or anything that is deemed by the leadership to constitute a danger to the very survival of the struggle, to the very success of the struggle. That they call treason. And so that can be done. But the Constitution did not provide for a regular electoral process that would bring leadership change through the ballot. No, it did not contemplate that. But rather they said, whoever is there that is leading, when we get to Boya, that person will have that government that gets to Boya will have 3 years to put all the institutions in place, get the ground zero forces involved in the governance, and organize electoral politics and bring a new leadership in place. Then that will be the tenure of the government, 3 years upon arrival in Boya. So that is what was contemplated. The reasons they had for all those people who put it together and who voted as a constituent assembly for the constitution, the reason they have those reasons have not changed. They are still the same. They are still the same. If anything, we have gone deeper into the realm of the war now. By the time they were writing it, we were still chanting and holding peace plans. Today we are war. What we talk about is war. As I live here now, I'm going to be having meetings, but with the warriors on the ground. It's war we are prosecuting now. We are in full-fledged war. That's it. So you say, let us stop and mobilize the people so we can do campaign-style politics to get a new leader. Then we change. It is. There's no need for that. But I'm trying to say, if we want to build another Ambazonia, another liberation movement that is not like others, the people will decide. The people from county by county, local government by local government, and the restoration forces on the ground should decide.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President.
They should decide. So
a lot of calls are coming in.
Okay, go ahead.
There is a caller that has really been patient. I would like us to take this caller to react so that caller, thank you for being patient. The president is listening.
Okay, Paddy, thank you so much for accepting my call. God bless you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ambazonia is rising to fall no more. I'm Dennis. I'm calling from Washington, D.C. I want to tell the president, you're not just a father, you're not just a leader, but you speak the mind of God. You have healed a lot of Ambazonia today. If you don't know, Mr. President, a lot of people have received healings from your words. I want to appreciate you. The moment when you said you have some something to see, a surprise. Oh my God! I want to tell you, Mr. President, I almost collapsed. I said, what is about to come out? I almost collapsed. But when the thing was, I thought it was resignation. If you had resigned, Mr. President, oh God, meaning you have killed millions of Ambazonia. We depend on you. We are seeing your good work. And the Ambazonia people are.
Please come close to your mic so we can hear you. We depend on you. Go ahead. We are seeing your good work. Go ahead, please.
We depend on you, Mr. President. With everybody speak good about you. We are hoping on you. We know you are the game changer. You have been changing, but we know we trust you. And God will see you through. Despite of challenges, I know, as you always say, there is promotion ahead. Your time of promotion has come. And God is with you. Thank you, Mr. Badi. You are so big. I didn't know we have a genius like you, Mr. Badi. We have not lost anything. God knew why He brought you to ABC. Keep on the good work. And please, I'm celebrating the president of place. I want to say any wine to Mr. Badi for president is a bottle of wine. At the end of this show, sit in your quiet house with your family and even sip a bottle, a glass of wine. You have healed us. You have healed Ambazonia. God bless you in Jesus' name. We pray. Amen. Amen to you. Amen to your family. Amen. God
Thank you. Thank you, caller. Thank you. Let me take the next caller. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Do you want to react? The calls are coming. I cannot even pick some. The calls are numerous. Please do not call. Do not call. Do you want to react to what the president said, sir?
No.
Do not call me on the regular. Please call on WhatsApp. Just be patient. I'll pick your call. Just be patient and I'll pick your call, please. Yes. Hello, caller. Yes.
Hello, Mr. Badi. Good day.
Yes. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from the northern zone.
Okay, go ahead. The president is listening.
Yes, I want to first and foremost appreciate you for bringing the president on board. In fact, we are already perceiving the kind of country that is in the building. You see, we have been following up this revolution for a long time now. I think that whatever has happened, all this work has been planned by God. And the president is there because God brought him in. And God brought him in for a purpose. And I've seen in him a man of integrity. I've seen a man who is focused. I've seen in him a man who is not easily derailed. I've seen in him a man who is not easily distracted. I've seen in him a man who has, hardly pointed fingers on his neighbors. Sometimes he even speaks for them. I really wonder what kind of a man he is. He's a man with a golden heart.
Okay, caller, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I want to say thank you. Please just wind up so I can take other calls, please.
Okay, you're right, sir, because I really am taking long. In fact, I will take the whole year talking about our president. Well, I just say, I don't have any question for him, but I see that there are revolutions. When you see the one of South Sudan, there was John Garang until his death. Salva took over. The Palestine, we have the president, he died, the other one took over. So I don't understand what they mean about elections, in a war. We persecute the war. And when we reach Abuja, they can do their politics. So I want to thank the president once again for his service. It's going to see him through. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The president has heard you. Please,
Thank you.
I would have to take other callers. I'm seeing the Secretary of State for the Deputy Secretary of State for Communications is calling. I may have to pause some of the calls to respect his call. So, Mr. President, caller, you're on. Go ahead. After this, I may have to take the call of Dr. Ngwambe. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is from Ground Zero, sir.
Yes, I'm aware in Ground Zero, please. Please, those calling, don't call my direct line. Just call on WhatsApp, please. I'll be patient. I will get your call.
Yes, actually, I want to greet.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, I want to congratulate you, Mr. Tas.
Thank you.
And this, I want to appreciate our president, and we on Ground Zero, we are praying for him. So I really appreciate the president, even though I've even dreamed about the president and even the first lady, though I've never seen her, but I don't about her, I even know how she looked like because we admire the president and even the first lady. So what we are talking about now, are you getting me, sir?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. You have 1 minute, please.
Yes, they complain that the president does not solve problem. How can you solve problem for somebody you are a cabinet member who does not want to listen to you? How can you solve that problem? So when you see things, you see when they want to, you see when people want to bow you behind. But what our president is that he should remain focused because we on Ground Zero everything. The only thing is that president should get in touch with all the fighters because we heard the other day about the Bali, the Buffalo. They were.
Yeah, it is okay. I may not want you to say that. But please don't say that publicly. The president has heard you. Don't say anything defense publicly. It is the president's recommendation. The president will contact the restoration forces, please. Is that okay?
So that is all I wanted to say. Okay, sir. Just want that president should get in touch with all the top defense leaders and get in touch with the top fighters on the ground. That is where our problem is now. He should forget about the animals and the other people that are planning the coup about him. We are there for him, so we should not bother anything. He should be courageous as we are watching him right now. We pray for him every day. The mamas, the mothers, all the fathers, and we educate even those that do not even understand anything when they are there bringing lies against our president.
Okay,
so
please.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm going to take the next caller, and this may happen to be the Deputy Secretary of State for Communications, Dr. Ngwambe. Dr. Ngwambe, it is my pleasure, sir. The president is listening to you. You want to react?
Yes, buddy. Greetings, buddy. Greetings, Ambazonia, and greetings, Mr. President. So, this is the question that I want to ask, and I want to ask that question, but preface it with a comment. It is not accurate to say that the U.S. government, or that the United States, did not conduct elections during wartime. During their Revolutionary War, they had a Continental Congress which was comprised of the 13 colonies, which we could consider counties, just for us to understand. And those counties sent representatives who made up a Congress, and in that Continental Congress, voting occurred amongst those members, and they actually selected a president for that Continental Congress, and leadership changed within that Congress at least 4 times. That's point number 1. Point number 2. During the American Civil War, where Abraham Lincoln was president, that war ended in 1865. In 1864, while that Civil War was going on, the United States still had an election for president. Point number 3, we all know that there have been subsequent wars that the United States has been engaged in abroad. World War II, World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, Gulf War II, Afghanistan, and the United States has been able to conduct elections. While I'll agree with you that constitutionally have the opportunity, and when I say we, I'm not referring to all of Ambazonia in the diaspora or those at home, but those of us who are specifically pro-IG, because it's a little bit easier, which I think would actually fall into some of the parameters that you were discussing when it comes to the counties selecting a leader. But we can organize and add it to the Constitution for us to be able to appraise and evaluate the outcomes of the senior most leadership of our liberation struggle. That does not mean that you will lose, and it does not mean that you will win, but at least we, the people, would have that opportunity. It's just, the question I really want to ask you is that if you look at your detractors, especially your detractors who are not even pro-IG, especially the ADM people, as they are observing this situation, they are even laughing at us and saying, in the ADF, they conducted an election, ADF/AGOC, President Dr. Yabacho, Commander-in-Chief of Dr. Yabacho, as they call him over there, went into an election where he stood against his VP. They even had a televised debate that was very respectful. Do we not feed into the perception of our detractors by making it seem as if it's a big issue to add it to our Constitution and then define a process where people are paying CID, you're paying your draft, you're contributing to your LG counties? Are we not feeding into the perception of our detractors that we are underclaiming on the leadership or some other kind of funny things? Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, the president heard you. Can we have the president so that we get his reaction, please? Caller, just a moment. Please be patient. The president will react to you.
You were very close to the microphone. You should know this because you are a communicator. If you are not yet hung up, or if somebody heard it, Paddy, what was the last question? I think that was the question. The rest were comments leading to that question. Can you repeat that question for me?
The question is, why don't we figure out a way to get a clause for election included in the Constitution? And why are we making it seem difficult? I think it's your question, Mr. President. I do not want to react.
No, I was just trying to understand it. If I don't understand it, they'll say I dodged the question or something. So that's what I was trying to understand, so that I respond.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing that I established, that we are not the first revolution. There are other liberation struggles, whether it is in Angola, whether it is in South Sudan, whether it is in Eritrea, and so on. These things are already there. Those are the primary examples we must compare ourselves with. I went a stretch when I said even in established democracies, during martial law, elections and electoral processes are suspended. You can find exceptions here and there, but I want to tell you the standard practice. That's why you had generals in power for long. In many countries, that's the standard. I'm not going out of the standard here. If you have an exception, that does not break the rule. So don't use exceptions to become the rule. I'm telling you the rule, that during times of extreme crisis, where the survival of the nation is under permanent jeopardy, where there's war, we don't talk about electoral processes. Am I saying that because I am here? No. If I get out of this place, I will say it 10 times more, the same thing. So that's one thing I want to correct. And I hear some insinuation that you are scared of elections. Seriously? You are scared of elections? I mean, what am I going to lose? So let me say this here. There's nobody here. I've not made any statement here that though the founders thought that there would not be need for elections, we now today, we should not think otherwise. But my prescription here is how. Our disagreement is not what. Let Ambazonia decide what. But whatever Ambazonia decides to do, let it be done through the laws that we agree. It is not going to be the tradition of Amazonia to trample on the constitution anytime we want to do something, to
Okay,
despise the
thank you.
constitution, smash it on our feet because we want to accomplish something. Rather, we should go through the constitution. And if we need to change something in the constitution, I have not said no. I am saying that let the people in the constitution assembly, let the constitution be reviewed, the reviews and the amendments presented to the constituent assembly of the people of Ambazonia. If they adopt it, so be it. If that is their logic now, that we have advanced so much that we should get into electoral politics. Let me tell you something. Do you know that if these are the things? Let me tell you a little about electoral politics. Electoral politics divides people. There's the danger of dividing the nucleus of the revolution on partisan lines. Number two, electoral politics it can bring the unvetted to power. The unvetted, the unfit, infiltrators, and dangerous people who can shipwreck the revolution. They are popular, so they win. What do you do? If popularity or by whatever electoral process they manage to manipulate the process and they come to power, will you say no when democracy say yes? There is no such democracy in the middle of a war. You can quote that anywhere, on any altar, on any pulpit, on any platform. It does not make sense in the middle of flying bullets. Go and tell the farmers on the ground that is what we want to do while they are dodging and surviving through bullets. That please wait, we want to vote today. We are there to make sure we win. Until you have won a country, you set up institutions, because you must have structures, you must have political parties before you can have elections. Whatever we call it is going to be a kind of selection that will select around us within a revolution. You don't talk about real politics. Are you kidding me? So anybody comes in who has the money, who fulfills the condition, who speaks right, who can debate and wins the election to lead a liberation war. Are you kidding me? No, you can stand for that. It's your idea. I'm not belittling it. But it's just one idea among the people who are moving this revolution. If we decide to come as a body and we say that is the way to go, good. Seriously.
Okay, Mr. President, thank you very much. You have just, caller, please just be patient. Since this is, I would say, my boss. He is actually the one standing in place of Mr. Arno since he abdicated his office. That was the Deputy Secretary for Communication. So, Mr. President, with your permission, I may want to react. We had a debate similar to this. And I said something to Dr. Ngwambe. I said, what I am confident is that they might not, you said something that's provoked me to say so. They might not have understood the concept behind the creation of the structure we have now. And his reaction and the comparison he brought is evidence to what I said, that they have not understood. Mr. President, before I give my explanation, I want to say that, like I said on the air the other day, I said you inspired me to go back to school. I'm doing a master's program, and part of that, my study, is to investigate why our situation as Southern Cameroon is different from others. You have mentioned two things: divide. There's something I'm writing on, I call the Northwest-Southwest dichotomy. That's one of the biggest strategy Yaoundé has used to put us asunder. And they are pushing through it. It's either they get somebody from the Northwest as Prime Minister or somebody from the Southwest. And they encourage the come no go concept. I've won in one of our meetings where somebody was calling the Momo people in Sako, insinuating that they are not people of the land. I said, be careful, because there's a structure. You don't want to spark something you can't finish. I want this. I don't want to call the person's name, but I'm sure he should be watching me. I want him. Don't say this because you can create divide. You don't even know what you're causing. This structure is made in such a way that what democracy are we going to bring to tell the people that we have decided and that the founding fathers of this structure decided that a leader must come from the southern zone until we get to Boya. Those who want to make comparison. It is not time for education, but you may have to go back and study a little bit about Ambazonia. Stop reading all the books. We have people in the struggle, they have read every other liberation, but they don't know how to liberate Ambazonia. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me that audience to speak at this time. The next caller has been waiting. Thank you very much. Caller, go ahead. The president is listening. Yes, caller, go ahead.
Okay, I want to seize this opportunity to thank the president for piloting the rescue team to rescue Ambazonia. All of us, we heard from Paul Biya, he said he has tried to, they tried to assimilate us to no avail. And I want to assure Ambazonia people that this is a God-ordained revolution. We have been talking about unconscious and conscious infiltration of the interim government. And thank God, the coup plotters, that they are exposing themselves through their actions and their words. So I am here to ask a question to Ambazonia. It is La Republic that is the enemy. La Republic is killing our people. They are occupying our land, and that is La Republic. What we have is an emergency situation. If we don't do it right, we are not going to survive as a people. So, in an emergency situation like this, what is our way forward? Should we flush La Republic out of Ambazonia and be free for one and for all? Or we need to go and stop somewhere talking about elections. Then La Republic will come and assimilate and annex us forever. So Ambazonians, everything you hear about the interim government constitution, all those things, it is La Republic. They want to implement a puppet leader. So who will now stand up for the coalition for dialogue and negotiation under one Cameroon?
Yeah, Comrade Ucheba, please, I'm sorry, I may have to cut you. You have your own show. You can do your analysis. Maybe the president should take your question. Please, yes, please. The president should take your question. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, tell the president that we are behind him.
Mr. President.
Yes, I just heard, I thought it was a comment. But let me say this, that Ambazonians, ours is a liberation effort. It is not a democratic government. It's a liberation effort. Go and find your dictionary and find out what a liberation means. It's a liberation effort. We are only organized as a government because of our argument from 1961. And we have to be as a government because we are restoring a government that was annexed and destroyed. But ours is a liberation effort. Our business in this government is liberation. So a liberation is a guided effort. It's not one that is left to the whims and caprices of anyone who can cast a vote and who can present as a candidate. Yes. So we have seen that even in counties and local governments, when people spoke very well and they were given positions, and you finally discover that you made a mistake. So that is not going to happen at the realm of the liberation machine, or else we don't care what happened. We just want to care about processes and bring anybody can through the electoral process. Whatever constitutes the majority is in charge. If that is the risk we are ready to take, that's fantastic. But let me say this. Let me ask you a question. This is a rhetorical question. If you don't like me just because of the way I do my job as the president of Ambazonia, how much more will you like me when I contest with your candidate and your candidate does not win? So you see, we are just going to eternalize, divide, and break ourselves because of electoral politics. The most important thing in the liberation effort is resolve. because you are all in a tunnel trying to get out. That's the result. So at the end, that's what judges, that's what you do. So that within that caucus, that you believe in the same thing and you believe in the same objective. If you discover that truly this leader will not do the job and things, that caucus can make a decision. But tell me that we should go through electoral politics every cycle. Wonderful. I did not see that in other liberation efforts. But if Ambazonians choose that that is their way, that's why I want this thing not to be by the decision of a small little clique of people behind the shadows, but let it be the decision of all those Ambazonians who have invested so much